They had 4 games against the AMC elite team there against Malone, top 25 in NAIA Division II, and the Pioneers held their own. In Game 1 on Friday, though, they were unfortunately unable to come up with the victory. 1-0 game. They fell to Malone. Seth Martin pitching all of the 7 2/3 innings there and only giving up 1 run. In Game 2, it was Joe Cox, Mr. Perfect. He was perfect, no more, however. 2-1, the final score there from Canton, Ohio. Again, Cox pitching all 7 1/3 of the innings pitched there in Game 2. Those each went into extra innings. So now let's transition to Saturday now. And in the first game on Saturday, Malone, again, able to come up with the victory. Lautzenheiser was on the mound. He was unable to come up there. 5-2, Malone wins. And in Game 2, Malone took out the clean sweep of the weekend, 6-1. It was Peluso on the mound there. He gets the loss. Flip those two around. Malone is perfect in the AMC, and the Pioneers are sitting in the basement at 1-7. So now we're going to bring in these two fine gentlemen, Mr. Cooney, Mr. Calhoun. We're going to start off with you, Mr. Calhoun. These games, 4 losses, however, very stiff competition and very well-played ball games.
Well, yeah, when you talk about this Malone Pioneers team, you're talking about one of the best 3 teams. According to Kevin Taylor, the SID here at Point Park, he says it's Notre Dame. Shawnee State is also creeping up in there, and Malone. But the problem with the Pioneers, Josh, they can't score 3 runs in 4 games and expect to beat a team like Malone. They pitch extremely well. And they're not pitching well aside from these 4 games. Cox has a 2.01 ERA. No one else is below 4.74 on this staff right now. They need to figure out how to pitch and hit the baseball around because they have 3 runs in 4 games against Malone. You can't win.
Let's stick with the pitching staff that really played against Malone. They were supposed and scheduled to have 6 games in 3 days. Okay. Now they only played 4 of them because the doubleheader non-conference against the non-conference team from New York was postponed. So how much of the 4 pitchers in 4 games against Malone had to do with that extra 2 games there on Sunday?
I think they're getting ready to throw out your top 2 starters there in Seth Martin and Joe Cox. That's why they were in the first 2 games. And the pitching, just go back. I want to look back at the first 2 games. The first game, Seth Martin has pitched 2 complete games in his past 2 starts, and he hasn't gotten a single run from the Pioneer offense to help him out. And it's just the Pioneer offense that has yet to be able to help out this team, and that's why they're sitting so low here in the AMC.
These teams have talent. The baseball team has talent. I don't think there's any denying that. But I want to ask, what is the bigger problem with this team? Is it the pitching? You talked about the ERA, or is it the hitting? I mean, they aren't getting the clutch hits when they need them. They're leaving runners left on base. But again, the ERAs are rather high, except for that with Cox and then Martin, who's played some pretty darn good baseball as late too, Kevin.
Well, yeah, and the problem is, Josh, you can't really identify what's wrong because it's a different thing every weekend. Last weekend when they played Notre Dame, they'd score 8 runs but give up 12, and then they'd score 1 run and give up 8. So you need to get the pitching. They have 20 less extra base hits than their opponents this year. That's not gonna be a success for this baseball team. But for me, it's the pitching. They need to pitch better out of the bullpen and out of the starting lineup aside from Joe Cox.
Aaron, what do you think?
I'm looking at the bullpen. Looking at the bullpen, I don't know if maybe this is something that Coach Torres was looking to call out his bullpen, but all 4 games, the starter pitched the whole game, complete game for each starter. I don't know if he does not have the faith in his bullpen, but the starting pitching was there this weekend. It was the bats that didn't show up, and that's why we saw what happened this weekend.
And you got to look at Ricky Cordito as well. He's been injured as of late, and time and time again, we look at this Pioneer Ball Club and we see injuries plague them. Injury to wrong people at the wrong time. Cordito was really coming on and really being a force there at the shortstop position, not only on defense, but on offense as well. Guys, we got to hurry up here. Lastly now, they play Shawnee State this weekend. Again, a very good baseball team. What are your thoughts about this weekend's games?
I think you're going to see a lot of the same thing with the pitchers playing almost the entire game, if not the whole game. You're going to see the same thing. The bullpen's not there, but they got to start hitting the baseball. They're not going to win games. 2
more on the road for the Pioneers, Aaron. What do you think?
I don't know. It's not looking good. We were talking about Shawnee State a little bit earlier. There's an upcoming team, the AMC, becoming one of those elite. Point Park is not looking good.